The hosts feel it would be a little unkind to present this podcast without just a word of friendly warning. We are about to unfold the story of Frankenstein, a man of science who sought to create a man after his own image without reckoning upon God. It is one of the strangest tales ever told. It deals with the two great mysteries of creation, life and death. I think it will thrill you. It may shock you. It might even horrify you. So if any of you feel that you do not care to subject your nerves to such a strain, now's your chance to. Well, we've warned you.
Hello and welcome once again to the Frankencast. I'm the mad scientist Anthony Bowman. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm joined again this week by...
the curiously non-moving monster face that is Hayden Orr. My pronouns are also he, him.
Yeah, so I had seen this before, it had been a while, and for the longest time I was like, I can't remember, is this a mask or is it a face? Because it's straight up a mask, but is it supposed to be a face? And it is. It's supposed to be a face.
Because he does a little bit of light brain surgery at one point.
Yeah, so we're talking about the Curious Dr. Humpp, an absolutely bonkers movie. It's one of those movies that sometimes I understand the whole thing with nudie cuties and stuff from the time. People were kind of starved for nudity, and movie companies were finding ways to get as much of it in there as they could while still technically being there were so many rules with the Hays Code and all that but this movie is so weird because it's most of the time it's not really tittillating. I mean, I guess maybe it is a little bit, but it seems it has a very weird relationship with sex, down to the point that the movie is about sex.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just truly weird. And I have heard, apparently, I've not seen it, but this movie was originally made in Spain, and it had a different title and was drastically recut when it came to America under the title The Curious Dr. Humpp. Before that, it was called Venganza del Sexo, and apparently it was more dark, more horrific, less sexy, but...
The Revenge of Sex. What
a title. I'm kind of curious to check out that version, just because, is the mad science more in it? But, I think over time has kind of decided The Curious Dr. Humpp is the version of this movie. You don't really hear people talk about the original version.
Right.
But, yeah, I would be curious to see how the sex is... I mean, it's right there in the title of that one, so surely it's still a big part of the story. But maybe less so.
Yeah, I could definitely imagine a version of this that's a lot more dark, and not as much of a sexploitation film, I guess. But I didn't know it was. I knew it had that original title. I didn't know it had been recut, though.
Yeah, I wonder if it was Ruffies. Have you ever watched any Ruffies?
Yeah.
I'm wondering if it was like that. If this is sort of the nudie cutie version of the dark twisted mirror image of the original Ruffy or something. I don't know.
I think that probably is very close to the truth.
But all right, I guess let's get into it. This is we really start with what seems like a bunch of sort of like a montage, a very long montage that I wondered how important are these individual scenes, but really every one of them, we will have these characters later. They do matter, but we basically get the same scene over and over again of monsters kidnapping various horny people. We have some teens necking in a car at a makeout spot, and we one thing we get a lot in this movie that I feel bad that Eric's not here to make his joke, is we get so many chloroform rags.
Oh, yeah.
Like, everybody gets chloroformed in this movie by the end of it, it seems like. We get these monsters. This is, as we were kind of talking about at the beginning, we have these guys. They're wearing weird sort of... They almost look like what like an alien would be wearing in a movie from this time period. They're weird jumpsuits. Mm-hmm. And then they have these very motionless mask-like faces. And there's a couple different models of it. Like they're very similar, but like some of them are slightly longer. You know, there's a little bit of personality to them, but they do not move. They are papier-mâché masks, basically.
I was trying to think of it for the longest time, and I literally just had to like search bad sci-fi movies from the 50s, like on Google, and I finally found it. There's a movie called Killers from Space from 1954. You probably have seen stills from it. That's the one where the guys are in like black jumpsuits that cover their head, and they have the ping pong balls for eyes.
Yes. Yeah.
The masks on like the regular goon henchmen were really like giving off that vibe to me. I was like, why does that look? I was like, that feels familiar in some kind of way.
Yeah, that's a very, very good comparison for sure. But so yeah, then we continue this sort of montage thing. I think we have a lesbian couple that seem to have a kind of some sort of like S&M kind of relationship, or like DS relationship, I guess is more like, because one of them gets the other, like slowly undresses the other, and then there's kind of like making out and you know, touching each other, but like one stays clothed and one gets naked, which seems like a power dynamic thing. And then we have a drunk guy. He's just kind of by himself. Like he's not really having sex. We have a young woman who is masturbating, like looking at like naked pictures of men. And I think there might be... Oh, and then there's like 4 hippies, like 2 guys and 2 girls that are just, you know, free love. They're just having a little mini orgy. And yeah, throughout all this, we have the weird mask monsters coming in, chloroforming people, dragging them away, throwing them into a hearse. That seems to be their preferred mode of transport. Oh, and then the last one is there's like a jazz club and there's a girl dancing who is like stripping. Yeah. And that one's really weird because like a guy, just like one of these masked guys, comes in and like sits down in this jazz club, just chilling there for a minute.
And he's definitely not wearing a disguise, because there's like, you can see like POV shots of everybody looking at him like, what the fuck? Like, who is, like, what is going on here?
Yeah. And that one we don't actually see how the kidnapping takes place, which is, I think they were just kind of like, how the fuck would this take? Let's just breeze over. We don't have to show it, because
yeah.
Does he wait and follow her outside? I don't know, because like theoretically, he just like grabs a stripper in the middle of a club. People are gonna beat the shit out of him. Like they're not gonna
exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. That's the last one, and then we immediately cut to a police station where we have cops that are like, 10 kidnappings in 10 days. This is rough. Like, what are we going to do about all this? There's no leads. Yeah, they're kind of just like discussing plans, and then they're interrupted by a reporter who comes in, and they're like, oh, it's you. You've really, kind of fucked us on this. You've really told a lot of stuff in the newspaper, and now, it's going to make our investigation a lot harder. And he's like, I think I've got a theory. I think I could be helpful to you all rather than like a hindrance. And they're like, all right, shoot, what do you got? And his theory is that there was a sex-obsessed mad scientist a while ago who was exiled, and like that he got in a lot of trouble, and nobody's seen him since. But maybe he's back up to his old tricks again.
I think that's pretty likely.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds right on the money. And the cops are like, I mean, I don't like it, but okay, do you have documentation? Do you have anything we could look at that would help? So they're kind of reluctantly like, okay, maybe so. We'll look into it at least. Mm-hmm. And I think we cut from that to our mad scientist, who is not one of these weird, freaky mask face guys. He's just a guy, and he is like, mixing beakers. He's drinking stuff that he's making, which always seems like a sign that this scientist is definitely mad. He has like a TV monitor on, he's got like a big science wall of like, mainframe type computer stuff. and he turns on the monitor and is able to flip through channels, and we see all the people we just saw getting kidnapped. They're all locked in different rooms in his, mad science compound. He goes to one of the rooms where I think this is the is it the dancer?
Yes. I think Rachel is her name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She will become sort of the main kidnappee, I would say. And when the scientist, of course, this is Dr. Humpp, and he goes into her room where there's a nurse taking care of her, and he's like, okay, she's not quite ready yet. I'm gonna have to build up her desire more. In the meantime, check in with the hippies. Let them just put them all in the same room. They don't need to be separated. Give them their weed. Give them their drugs. Let them fuck around. That's what we're here for, right? And do the same with the lesbians. Put them back in their room together. And she's like, okay, whatever you say, boss. And then I think we have him just kind of checking in on it. He goes and visits the masturbating girl. And he's like, I mean, this does seem sort of smart, I guess, based on what he's trying to do. He's like, okay, this girl is very horny and seems lonely. She's just been, flipping through porn, jerking off. Let's get her with a real guy, see what happens. Maybe things will really, get spicy there. So I think he decides to join her up with the drunk guy that was walking home.
Yeah.
But we cut away from all that to the journalist from the beginning. He's at the newspaper now, in the office in the bullpen where there's all the writers. And they got a visitor who for some reason came to the newspaper instead of the police. This is the bartender from that jazz strip club.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, he's like, I wasn't really going to say anything, but my wife's been hounding me about it, so I guess I should report this. Right before our dancer got kidnapped, there was a weird guy in the bar who just strolled in. Everybody noticed him. He was real weird looking, and he just stared at her for a while. And then, later that night, she was kidnapped. And so, yeah, the journalist is like, yeah, that sounds like a lead. We'll definitely look into that.
Yeah. Very clearly related.
Yeah. We go back to the lab where we have one of those masks, or those freaky-faced monster guys, carrying the masturbating girl. I don't know if any of these people, other than Rachel, I don't know if any of them actually get names. It may be in the credits or something, but...
Yeah, maybe, but I don't think... Because, they don't really spend a lot of time worrying about characterization for anybody but Rachel and the reporter, basically.
Yeah, so we have the monster lay her down. They inject her with something. They give her a drink of some kind of serum, and then they lead. Another monster leads the drunk guy in and puts him in the bed next to her and has him drink a potion. And as soon as they both have had their potions, they just start going to town immediately.
Yeah.
So Dr. Humpp's serums seem to work if the intent is to make people want to have sex.
It's like he created Spanish Fly, but if it was something that actually did what it was supposed to do.
Yeah. And he's just watching on the CCTV this whole time. Or he watches for a little bit, and then he actually leaves his lab and goes to the room with the hippies, and I don't know if they've even had a serum. They're just going to town because that's what they like to do. And he's into this. He's there's the heavy breathing. It's he's got a voyeuristic quality here for sure. And I think then we just have later on the nurse is checking in on him, and she's like, you don't seem well, doctor. I know we've got this whole project and everything, but it seems like it's not working as well as it was when we started. And he's like, no, it's fine. I guess it's got to take more potion. And he chugs some, and I think his hand is no, it's not shaking. It's
it's got lesions on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it as he drinks the potion, it just magically heals basically.
Mm-hmm.
Which is it's a pretty good effect for, a movie that doesn't really need to try to do this.
Yeah. Surprisingly good.
Like, I think it's, it's kind of a reverse. It's similar to like the Wolfman stuff from like, the Lon Chaney Jr. movie. Like, I'm sure that he's like, but yeah, it works. And he's like, yeah, we're going to need more potion and a quicker turnaround on getting this potion. So like, we're going to have to get the couples to go at it again. And she's like, do you think they can? And he was like, I mean, the girl, she can go all night, but I think the guy's probably out of juice. So we may just need to get rid of him and find another guy. And she seems like she's been very like, loyal, like whatever you say, Doc. But here she's like, I'm starting to feel like we're treating these people like animals. Like, is there something else we can do? I mean, surely we can get people to volunteer to have sex. Like, I mean, I would have sex with you. Maybe that would fix it. And he's like, no, that's...
I gotta say, do you... I feel like you and Eric have brought up Rob Zombie on the show before, but do you listen to Rob Zombie?
I mean, I've definitely more like watched his movies than listened to his music, but I've listened to a little bit of it.
So this line, one of the lines she says to Dr. Humpp when she's basically like, let me help you. She says, use my body to keep you alive. And that line is a sample that Rob Zombie uses in his song Never Gonna Stop, which that's the one where the music video is based on A Clockwork Orange.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and that's like, as soon as I heard that, because I was unaware of like where, there's so many Rob Zombie songs where I hear samples from like all these old horror movies, and I'm like, I wonder where that's from. But I never realized that it was in this movie. So when she says that line, I was like sitting back watching it, I perked up, and I was like the Leonardo DiCaprio me, and I was like, that's it.
That's great. But yeah, she's got this idea that like, yeah, maybe we can just have sex and like we can get the serum from our own. The science in this is super hazy, like more so than usual for our movies. Like, it's really unclear where this serum is coming from. Like, I don't know, but basically, yeah, she wants to volunteer her body to do this. And Dr. Hump's basically like, you love me and I don't love you. I will use you when I need to use you, but I'm not that at that point yet. Like, we've got all these this livestock basically, as you described it, and yeah, we're gonna keep using them and milking them dry. And then when I get bored of you, I'll do the same with you, basically. And she's so just like dialed into him that like that does not scare her off immediately.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. It's like, I mean, probably intentionally, that Dr. Humpp is like borderline asexual in a movie where the plot is literally about sex, and basically every other character is like, constantly having sex or thinking about having sex.
Yeah, because there's points where he talks about like the power of sex, that like that's how the serum happens, and that's like how you can control mankind. Like, if you have enough sex, you will become more powerful, and you can take over the world and everything. But he also does have this thing about like a serum that makes people want to have sex more. Maybe that's it. He's like, sex would make me more powerful, but I don't like it, and I need to figure out a way to like it. He never says that outright, but that kind of makes sense with everything else that's going on in this. Yeah.
Like, he's trying to benefit from sex without having it himself or something.
Yeah. So we do see, as he said, the drunk guy is no good to them anymore, and we see one of the monsters throw his body in an incinerator, and I think we see Rachel seeing this happen from her balcony. Like, she's sort of, locked in her room, but she does have a little, like, Rapunzel balcony, basically.
Yeah.
Cut from that to the police station, where the reporter has brought the bartender to the police station. Surprisingly, this is, usually reporters are like, I'm going to keep the scoop to myself until I, like, get to the bottom of it. But here, this guy is genuinely like, I want to help the cops. I want to solve this mystery. So they like, describe the monster face to a sketch artist, which results in a hilarious sketch that, like, looks like a ridiculous mask, because that's what it actually is. And, the whole time that the guy's like, well, no, make the eyes a little bigger, like really perfecting this insane looking monster mask. The journalist is like, I don't think it's a mask. I think it's a monster. And I looked into the doctor that I was talking about. I found some of his previous work, and it seems like he just wants to turn people into, like, sex machines, basically. He just wants... I don't know why. I can't figure that out, but it seems like that's the goal, is, like, you know, perpetual fucking, like... but we need to track him down. We need to figure out how to get to him, to how to save these people. And then we get, like, the first example of Dr. Humpp is kind of dumb about, like, staying incognito.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, sending the monster to a bar was bad enough, but now he sends one to a pharmacy with a prescription pad to fill in, like, a bunch of aphrodisiacs. Like,
yeah, it's like, it's one thing when you're going to a place where a lot of people are probably drunk and it's like nighttime, you know, maybe they might not, you know, remember so well, but in the, like, full-on daytime, people ostensibly are all sober around you. I mean, usually. Yeah, just, like, insane.
Yeah, it's truly bizarre. And, of course, it goes, you know, about as bad as you'd expect. The sketch has already appeared in the newspaper. The pharmacist recognizes it right away because it's a very distinct face. And, you know, he calls the reporter right away and is like, hey, that thing in the newspaper, it's here in my office. Like, it's trying to get a bunch of aphrodisiac drugs. And, you know, the reporter's like, keep it there as long as you can. We'll hurry over. But, of course, the monster, you know, kind of, I guess, overhears this or figures out that, you know, things aren't going well. So it attacks the pharmacist. And then we cut to, like, the monster back at the lab, and Dr. Hump's like, oh no, the police are on to me. How could I ever have predicted this would happen? And you didn't even get the drugs.
Yeah, you'd think that, I mean, he would have at least stolen the drugs before coming back.
Yeah,
but,
once you kill the pharmacist, take all the drugs you want. You don't even have to have a prescription pad anymore. But then we have, like, later the cops are at the pharmacy looking over the crime scene. And the reporter is also there. He's just kind of recruited to be a little, like, junior deputy for this movie, basically. They're like, okay, well, so we have this pad. We know what he's looking for. Maybe we can use this to our advantage. But the cops are like, what kind of idiot would have done this? This seems like such a bad plan. But I guess we can call other local pharmacies and get everybody prepped. And they don't really discuss what they're going to do. But they're like, yeah, we're gonna use this to our advantage. And then we go back to the house. Where we see some of our kidnapped people are sort of like sex zombies. They're just kind of like, they haven't turned into monster face people, but they're just kind of like stumbling around Dr. Hump's yard in a daze.
Yeah, I think they don't really ever specify, but I think that's supposed to be like a side effect from having too much of the serum that he gives them.
Okay. But the lesbian couple, they're still doing well. They're in they're still in the house. So we get a sex scene with them. And again, like, that's the thing that's weird about this movie is, yeah, there's these sex scenes. None of them, I mean, they don't seem like they're trying to be erotic. They're not really dwelling on the things you normally would. Especially, it seems like when the hippies are having sex, the camera is always so close to them that it's just like, you can never even tell what you're looking at. It's just like, it's really strange.
It's almost more claustrophobic than, like, sexual in the way that it's shot sometimes.
Yeah.
Like that feeling of, like, human bodies just being, like, kind of too close to you.
Yeah. I mean, it almost feels like the people making the movie are kind of like Dr. Humpp, in that they're like, I guess sex sells, but, like, we don't like it, so what do we do about that? And, like, this is what they ended up with. Yeah, I don't know. It is strange.
Well, maybe that's because, you know, this. You said they added more sex scenes to, like, the later version. Maybe they were, like, kind of forced to do that, I guess, and that was their way of, you know, being okay with that sort of decision being taken from them, is to do it that way.
Yeah, that could be. And so while we have the lesbian couple, we cut back down to everybody stumbling around, and we have, in a very weird, like, kind of goofy movie, maybe the weirdest and goofiest thing, which is one of the weird mask monsters is standing down there where all the zombies are stumbling around, and he has the strangest, like, futuristic guitar I've ever seen, and he's just like serenading the people. It's truly crazy. Like, it's just hilarious to see. Like, I was like, wait, is that a guitar? Is he holding a guitar? Yes, he's holding a guitar.
He is.
Yeah, so it's great. And then we have, like, Dr. Humpp back in his lab, and we get a little bit of a twist here. Dr. Humpp seems to be sort of working under another doctor who is just a brain in a jar. You know, we love a brain in a jar here. We get them all the time.
Oh yeah,
it's a classic for mad science movies. And this particular brain is like, you know, congratulations on continuing the work that I started years ago in Italy. But you've made a bad decision in not making your own aphrodisiacs. Sending the monster out to buy some was much too risky. We're in trouble now. And Dr. Hump's like, yeah, but I need more, and I need it now. I don't have time to try to make it myself. We'll figure it out. We'll get more, and it'll be okay. And that's when we cut to, like, finding out the plan, which is that we have one pharmacist who's like, okay, a monster came by. I sold him one of the drugs on the list, and I specifically told him the stuff that he still needs is only available at 2 pharmacies in the city, and that he should go to one of those. So the cops are able to, you know, go undercover at those 2 pharmacies and just be ready and waiting for that monster to show up to pick up those other drugs. But instead of the monster, actually, we have Dr. Humpp showing up himself, wearing sunglasses to cleverly disguise himself.
Yeah.
They divide it up kind of weird, because I think the cops are at one pharmacy and the reporter is at the other. And, of course, that's the one that Dr. Humpp shows up at.
Yeah, he's there with no, like, police protection. They were just like, you can handle it. You're on.
Yeah. So he does a pretty decent job. He, like, gets in a car and starts, like, tailing Dr. Humpp as he leaves. And then I think, I don't know, somebody else at the pharmacy calls the cops to let them know, and they're like, he just got in a car and didn't tell us where he's going or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So they go to try to follow, and they're like, I think they call in some, like, roadblocks and stuff like that. But eventually the reporter, like, he's watching Dr. Humpp driving ahead of him, and, like, the car kind of swerves a little bit and then sort of seems to just vanish into thin air. So he's like, okay, that's weird. I guess I'll call the cops and let them know, you know, where I am, at least, so they can try to meet me here. But he doesn't wait for them. He just, like, wanders into the woods to, like, you know, see if he can, like, find where the car vanished. And he does manage. He finds the Humpp compound, and, like, climbs a fence, but, like, right away is discovered by all the monsters.
Yeah.
I think he just kind of, like, wakes up in bed a little later. He's tied up in a bed, and there's another bed right next to him, and there's Rachel tied up in that one. Or not tied. She's not tied up, because I think she's, you know, under the influence of the serum to the point that, like, they don't even have her chained down.
Yeah.
She gets up and, like, gives him some water and tells him what she knows so far, what she's put together in her time. Like, we're prisoners of this mad doctor who is operating, or, you know, he's experimenting on us. There's these weird monsters that he's operating on, and they've kind of, like, turned into automatons. And then we have the nurse coming in to check on them, and Rachel, quick thinking, she chloroforms the nurse, and, like, unties the reporter, who I do think he does get a name eventually, but I don't know if I ever wrote it down.
I think it's George.
Okay. George and Rachel try to, like, they're untied. They try to escape, but it's like, you know, the doors are locked, and they're just kind of stuck. So I think when they realize that they're not going to be able to get out, they, like, lay down and try to pretend like they're not trying to escape. And a monster comes in with a rose that he gives to Rachel, which seems contrary to the whole Dr. Humpp thing. Like it seems like these automatons are not quite as controlled by a Dr. Humpp as he would think they are. This one particular monster seems to have a crush on Rachel. The monster kind of, like, goes over and is, like, next to her, and Rachel kind of like tries to keep his attention because George gets up and tries to like he creeps out the unlocked door from when the monster came in and is like wandering around the house now. Elsewhere, we have Dr. Humpp, who finds the nurse asleep, and I don't think she's taken the serum, right? She's just the nurse.
She's just helping him. I think she like has made it clear that she's willing to take the serum if that would help, but she's not. She hasn't done anything except get chloroformed, as far as we know.
Yeah, so this scene was kind of strange. It kind of reminded me of Mill of the Stone women, where it was like it was hard to tell what was real and not for a minute here, because like we see Dr. Humpp come into her room. She is asleep, but talking in her sleep about her fantasies of having sex with Dr. Humpp.
Yeah,
and then she kind of seems to like snap awake, and Dr. Humpp is suddenly George, not Dr. Humpp. But she still seems into it, and like they end up having sex instead. So presumably the Dr. Humpp in the room was in her dream, and when she woke up, it was actually George. I think that's what we're to interpret from this scene.
Yeah, that's kind of how it felt.
So yeah, now George is kind of getting this nurse, into his side. Like he's like, you should help us stop, like after sex or pillow talk or whatever, and he's like, we need to put a stop to what he's doing. This is bad. He's kidnapping people. It's he's hurting people. We should help. And she's like, I'll help you escape, but I don't want to sabotage Dr. Hump's work. I still believe in the work. So
I think she literally says, I couldn't care less about Rachel, but she's like fallen for George, I guess.
I think she's like, okay, I'll start the process. She goes into the next room, starts talking to Dr. Humpp, and she's like, I gave the reporter the serum, so I think he's ready. We can start using him. Sort of playing with our expectations here. Like, was she lying to George or is she lying to Dr. Humpp here? It's kind of unclear. We have the cops who are really lost at this point. They do not know where George is. They can't figure out where he went missing, so they're kind of spinning their wheels. Meanwhile, we have George and Rachel waking up strapped to slabs, and Dr. Hump's like, okay, we're getting close. I'm to the last step of my experiment. I think I can make you all telepathically have sex, basically. Like, this is like tantric sex times 1,000. Like,
yeah.
You can both fantasize about what you would like to do to each other, and you'll just feel like you're doing it. So it's almost like twice the sex for half the price, because you're both getting to have your own sex scene, and it could be, who knows, you could both be into totally different things, and you'll get to be doing those. Revel in your most perverse desires, and I'm just gonna just pull in all that delicious serum. And so to kind of show that, we get this like great thing where it's like, we see both of their sex scenes like double exposed on top of each other.
Yeah.
Which looks pretty cool. Again, because it's happening, like, you can't really tell what's happening, but it looks cool and it kind of like fits with what's going on here. So I thought it was a really great scene.
Yeah.
Not sexy per se, but really interesting.
It's definitely a cool visual for like a movie where you probably wouldn't be expecting a lot of like great effects or like interesting camera work.
Yeah. And like we get like, cut from this, we have little like shots of Humpp and like him just kind of like, doing his sort of villain monologue. He says like, sex dominates the world and now I dominate sex.
Yeah.
So I think the idea is, I guess, similarly to tantric sex, if I can make them telepathically have sex, then there's no refractory period. Then nobody's actually coming. Nobody needs to wait, 5 minutes or an hour or whatever their particular time frame is. They can just go again and again and again, and I'll just keep drawing that delicious serum away from them. Basically, they'll just keep going until they shrivel away to nothing, and then I'll bring in 2 new ones and just keep it going. Then we have, like, later, I guess he's not ready to really test that theory. We have Rachel and George just back in their room, free to talk and everything. And And George is kind of like, I'm worried for you. Like, he's injected you with a lot of serum. Like, I think you've been turned into a nymphomaniac, and like, I don't think that's healthy. And she's like, I feel fine. Like, I'm enjoying it. Like, and I like you. Like, I care about you. Like, and I would think you'd be into the fact that, like, I want to have sex, like, all the time. And he's like, no, but baby, I respect you too much to
yeah.
So,
George, he's a good guy. He's a good guy.
Yeah. So we cut back to the cops who have gone to the bar, and they're asking around, like, has anybody seen that weird monster again? And they're like, no, not since that one night. We did hire a new stripper. She's not attractive, but it's the best we could do on short notice. And so we just have the cops talking to the bartender. We just have this, like, kind of frumpy lady in the background dancing kind of slowly. She never got, I don't think she actually gets naked. She's just kind of, like, just moving around a little bit to the music. And then we have back at Humpp's place, George gets Rachel to untie him again, and he sneaks away into the house again. With him, we get another kind of round where he peeks in on a bunch of rooms, and we get little abbreviated sex scenes of everybody, culminating in him, like, actually sneaking into the hippie's room because he sees a monster approaching down the hall. So he just, like, ducks in and hides behind the door.
Yeah.
Which works because the hippies are so high and so into their sex that, like, when the monster peeks in, and he is basically like, is anybody else in here? And they're just like, close the door, man. We're busy. And, like,
yeah, they barely register that they've been interrupted.
Yeah. George sneaks out soon after and finds several more monsters that he's able to sneak past before getting to Humpp's actual lab. He finds some, like, just decapitated heads hanging in a closet, and he's like, oh, that's bad. That's more than I thought was going on here. And he reads some of Dr. Humpp's notes, that this is like, sex is going to lead to the next stage of human evolution, and we find out that this is, Dr. Humpp is picking up where another doctor left off. This is all based on the theories of Dr. Puntanalo.
Yeah.
Which I feel like is a silly way, like a poontang joke.
Yeah, I mean, Dr. Humpp, Puntanat, yeah, it's definitely...
But as he's reading this, we've obviously, the brain in the jar, that is Dr. Puntanalo. It is a really hard word to say.
Yeah.
But he's like, you need to get out of here. We'll kill you if you don't butt out. Like, leave our experiments alone. But then I think that's when, like, the nurse sneaks into the room, and she's like, come on, leave that alone. Don't worry about that. I can help you escape. Now's the time. George is like, only if you're going to help us all escape. We need all of us to get out of here. And I have a plan to do it. So he's like, I've got a note. Take this into town. And she's like, okay, I feel like I'm betraying Dr. Humpp, but I love you so much that I'm going to do this. But she's like, what about that other girl? Are you more into her than me? And he's like, now's not the time to talk about that. Let's not worry about that. We're going to... Yeah, he's not going to be like, yeah, Rachel's my girlfriend and I'm using you. Like, just, we'll get into the relationship details later once everybody's safe. Like, that's, yeah. So the nurse buys it. She's like, okay. So she goes to that bar, drops a note off with the bartender, who reports it right away to the cops. And it's just, directions to Dr. Humpp's hideout, basically. Cut to a crime scene a little later where the bartender has been murdered. Because the bartender calls the cops and is like, I've got this note, you should come down and look at it. But before he can give it to them, he gets murdered. But somehow presumably the monsters or whoever murdered him, they don't take the note. They don't find it or whatever, but the cops do. So they do have the directions now. They know where to go.
Because they followed the nurse to the bar, but I guess they didn't see her give him the note.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah.
Because Dr. Humpp admonishes her for for trying to help George.
Yeah. So yeah, we cut from that to Humpp yelling at her about that, and he's like, you've let me down. Like, I thought I had your loyalty at least. And we have her tied down to a slab while George is just kind of held in place by a couple of the monsters. Humpp is like, I was going to use you for sex because I know you would have liked that, but at this point I don't trust you, so I'm going to turn you into one of the monsters. George is like, you're a criminal and a murderer. You pick on someone your own size, basically. But, Humpp doesn't care. He just has his monsters drag George out. And then we have, the monster, or the cops, they have, eventually found their way to the lair at this point. They're outside, but they haven't quite gotten inside yet. Meanwhile, George is taken back to Rachel, where they are both given the aphrodisiac, but it's the nurse giving it to them, and it turns out it's fake. It's not real. So they're whispering to each other, and he's like, play it cool. Dr. Humpp thinks we've been given the serum, but we haven't. But so that he thinks everything's, above board, we still got to have sex. So I guess we're going to have to take one for the team here.
Yeah. It's like, darn, we've gotta trick him by having sex.
Yeah. So they start, and Dr. Humpp gets close to them, and all of a sudden George pulls a gun that he had hidden cleverly under the sheets of the bed. Hump's like, monsters, get him. So he starts, George starts shooting at the monsters who are not affected by the gunshots. They end up knocking George to the ground and drag Rachel away. Or I think the monster that drags Rachel away is the monster that gave her the rose, right? So
yeah, this monster has developed a particular affection for Rachel specifically.
Mm-hmm. So seems like he maybe is dragging her to safety rather than dragging her, away according to Humpp's plans.
Yeah.
At that point is when the cops have kind of surrounded the place, and presumably Humpp sends out monsters, but suddenly just a bunch of the monsters kind of shamble out, and the cops are doing the halt, freeze, all that, and they're not listening, so they start just shooting them left and right. They've got enough firepower that they are taking out some of these monsters. They're actually falling down, but George is trying to yell over the gunshots from his balcony, hold your fire, we can fix this.
Yeah.
They do stop, so he runs downstairs, runs outside, and is like, okay, there's a bunch of prisoners inside that need your help. You all can save them. Send some officers in. They can handle that. Meanwhile, there's one monster who has kidnapped Rachel. We need to free her. So they follow after the monster who has he's got Rachel down. Is there by a pond or something, right?
Yeah, or it looks a little swampish. They're by a small body of water, though.
Yeah. So the cops just shoot, open fire on this monster. And we do get a moment here that felt, a lot of this is mad scientist doing stuff that ends up coming back to bite him. So there's some very Frankenstein-y stuff here. There's a reason we're talking about this. But in this moment, right as the monster has fallen in love with this girl, and clearly it's not reciprocated, and the public is not okay with what he's doing. He does look at the cops and do that hand gesture that Boris Karloff does as the monster, that kind of pleading, holding his hands out help, please, it's very childlike, and it felt like it had to be specifically calling back to Karloff's performance as the monster.
Mm-hmm.
But of course these cops are not interested. They take him out. George is with them, and he's like, all right, let's go. We can find Dr. Humpp now that Rachel is safe. They go inside, or as they're going inside, George is like, I think Dr. Humpp is actually the first victim of this whole thing. I think Dr. Puntignalo is the actual mad scientist behind all this, and Dr. Humpp has been turned into his own unique, specific kind of automaton, who is just forced to continue the work while, sort of being trapped in this limbo of wanting to control sex but not wanting sex. but the trade-off is that he'll get to be immortal forever if he can continue the work. And Dr. Humpp, so that when they get there, Dr. Humpp tries to attack the police, but Rachel is there as well, and she manages to like sneak up behind him and stab him in the back. And so like he kind of collapses to the ground, and we get like a classic sort of more vampire thing where some amount of time has passed that he's kind of enjoyed his immortality for a while. So once like death comes upon him, he ages rapidly, again in a pretty good effect for this movie. And he just kind of like disintegrates, turns old and disintegrates. And then we have the talking brain yelling, and he's like, "Oh no, I was telepathically linked to Dr. Humpp. He was keeping me alive, and I was keeping him alive. But now you foiled our plans, and we were gonna. Once we got it all figured out, we were totally gonna make all of mankind immortal. We were doing this for a good reason, and you ruined it." And the brain just like catches on fire in the jar.
Yeah.
Even though it's like floating in water, right? Like this, it's presumably not a flammable liquid that I guess maybe he's in formaldehyde or something, but still, I wouldn't think this whole jar would catch on fire. But it looks great. It's a funny visual, and we have like all of our heroes, our cops, and Rachel and George watching as this jar bursts into flames, and that's that's how the movie ends in a kind of
it's classic. Very abrupt.
Yeah very we make a lot of abrupt ending jokes in this, but the Universal movies have a very specific abrupt ending formula where it's like the monsters suffering while the heroes look on sort of peacefully, and we definitely have that here. It feels very Universal.
Oh yeah.
And yep, that's our ending.
Yeah, that's it's an ending, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I like this movie. I think like I have fun with it. I'm not really sure what it's trying to do exactly. I don't know. Like it seems fascinated with sex, but I don't know that it knows. As much as the people making it, I guess the movie doesn't know anything. It's a movie, but it's the people.
Right.
The people making it. I don't know if they know how they feel about sex, and I don't know if they know what they were trying to say about sex.
Yeah, it definitely feels like it kind of loses its plot at certain points. Just like. Maybe that's just because of all the extra added footage. Maybe that's like the reason that I was feeling like that while I was watching it. But yeah, it's very unclear what the statement is, if there was like a specific statement tried to be made.
Yeah, it's just the statement seems to be like, you all like this sex thing, right? We're gonna give you a movie with that, and all of the sort of like gray area science in this of just like somehow serum and somehow control the world, and if this movie was really like leaning into the titillation and had the we've watched a lot of like porn parodies where it's like a real loose plot that could probably be one page of script with like 20 to 30 minute sex scenes interspersed between like 5-minute little framing bits. If that was what this movie was like, I'd be like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Like, we don't need much more than that. But the way that it, like, doesn't really lean on erotically portraying the sex scenes, and in fact, like, does weird artsy things that make the scenes less sexy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the best thing where I feel like I could say they feel some obligation to do a sexy movie in a way that feels okay to them. Yeah, I don't know. It's a mess, but it's like a fun mess. So like
oh yeah, I definitely had a good time watching it. It just was. There was several times where I was thinking to myself, like, what's the point exactly? Or like, were they going somewhere with this? Or but it's definitely a fun watch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's enough little bits of sex in it that it's it's entertaining. We have the wacky monsters. It's just fun. So it's definitely it's one that I think was like a lost movie for a little bit, and then I I forget one of the like companies that something weird I think maybe is the one that found this, and like you can find like a Blu-ray from them with some stuff, but like it's definitely worth checking out wherever you can find it, because it's just you've never seen anything quite like it, because I don't even know what it's not trying to emulate anything. It's just doing this thing, and you take it or leave it, basically.
Yeah.
All right, yeah. So that's all I've got to say about this one. There's not a lot of like deep thematic things here, but I don't know. Do you have any closing thoughts?
Not really. I wasn't really expecting us to be able to kind of like dive deep into the themes and ideas behind this one.
Yeah, it's no theme. It's no thoughts, just vibes for sure. So when you're in the mood for such a thing, pop this one in. You'll have a good time. All right. Do you want to plug Last Book on the Shelf? I know. I mean,
yeah. I do a podcast called Last Book on the Shelf with my two friends, TJ and John. We cover specifically. We did it to cover books. We do one a month, but we also do bonus episodes where we talk about movies, TV, anything else kind of pop culture related, so that it's not just one episode a month. We are currently kind of on an extended hiatus, so we aren't making any more episodes at the moment. We're trying to get our shit back together and get on a regular schedule again, but we do have plenty of episodes out there if you are interested. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere you can get podcasts. Our episodes are going to be there.
Yeah, and I highly recommend it. Eric and I have been on there. We had a great time talking to you guys. John has been on here with us as well. I think TJ wasn't able to make it the time we did that. But,
no, it was just me and John.
But yeah, like your all's show is a lot of fun. It's got similar vibes. It's just friends talking about things they like. So if you like, if you like what we're doing here, I think you'll have a good time over there as well. So yeah, highly recommend it. And of course I'll put links in the show notes to the Last Book on the Shelf, and right there alongside our links. Of course you can find us on all the socials at the Frankencast. You can email us at thefrankencast@gmail.com. And we're also on YouTube and patreon.com/thefrankencast, where we got a lot of stuff over there as well. Eric will be back here soon, but in the meantime, you can definitely find more from him over there. Plenty of back episodes there.
Plenty of actual porn movies.
Yeah, if you want to hear Eric and I like trying to find ways to gloss over the sex scenes, not to gross out all the listeners, but still deal with the important plot points regarding the sex scenes, we've done several over there, and I have. Those are some of my favorite episodes. They're so silly, and they're just a great.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, definitely.
The Munsters porn parody is an especial favorite of mine.
Yeah, that one was a lot of fun. So yeah, we'd love to have you over there. There's free trials. There's all kinds of ways to check out that stuff. So yeah, definitely stop by if that sounds fun to you. And then next week, Hayden will be back. We're going to be talking about another one that's sort of like a gray area, weird, vaguely Frankenstein-y and not quite Frankenstein-y, but enough that it's worth talking about. One that I've been waiting to get to, and Hayden sounded excited to talk about it. So we will be talking about the slightly lesser known slasher movie Pieces.
Yes, wonderful movie. Can't wait to talk about that. I got my boyfriend to watch it with me, and he was very he had some very disparaging things to say about the genre as a whole, as well as that movie specifically. So.
All right. Well, I'll be interested to hear his thoughts. So yeah, join us next week for that. But until then,
to be continued.
Looks like you survived another episode. The Frankencast is a production of FCR Media. It's hosted by Anthony Bowman and Eric Velasquez. Follow us on Twitter at TheFrankencast, or send us a letter at thefrankencast@gmail.com. Our cover art is by Amanda Keller. You can find her at Keller Illustrations on Instagram. Our theme music is by Vivek Abhishek. Thanks for listening.